So Eli is actually an ECU grad. I'm not sure if y'all could tell. And he is the Pitt County Senior Planner.
Thank you. Okay, so Pitt County Planning Department. Our title is Are You Ready for Hurricane Matthew? That's a true picture right there of the Hurricane Matthew. Yeah, I'm Eli, Pitt County Planning, and my coworker Tracy Cash there. We were involved with Hurricane Matthew. I want to talk about our experiences and some of our troubles and the things that we had. But Pitt County in general, it's 656 square miles. It has 2 river basins. It has the Tar and the Pamlico. The Tar is about 60%, and the Tar and the Neuse. The Neuse is about 40%. Our elevation ranges from 0 at sea level on the eastern side all the way to 156 feet on the western side near Farmville. We have a rock quarry and fountain, and that has about 130 feet below sea level. So when the LiDAR data came out, that was really neat to see. Matthew. So this was the timeline of what was going on with Matthew. So it started around in September, and it kind of worked its way up in North Carolina through October. So those were some stressful times between all those timelines when we were watching what was happening, where it was going, if it was going to come this way, and the slow pattern and path towards us. And then all of a sudden we realized it is coming for us. So it made landfall on October 8th in South Carolina, and we saw it was coming this way. So as we were watching our data, we were talking with the National Weather Service. We were in the EOC, and then they were on their website, and we were watching the stream gauge data. And they were always updating it with our EOC manager and emergency management, and giving predictions. The line at the top is Hurricane Floyd at 29.7. The major flood event was around 19 feet, and they were predicting this at 25.8 at one point. And this changed. It was really weird. It was changing daily, almost every update, getting higher and lower. Feynman, y'all heard about that? Earlier, there was another presentation this morning that was really neat, that they were doing even more stuff. So we got hooked up with Feynman. We used our predictions, and then we worked with NOAA to look at theirs, and we were playing around with the scenarios and seeing what would happen. So we got some kind of a number around 20 feet that we felt comfortable with with emergency management. And right there's our airport, Big Green Airport, and that's what it was saying. Well, NOAA said 25 feet, so even at 20 feet, this is what was going to happen. So we knew some things were going to go down. And we were in the conference calls with everybody, including the airport authority. So they went ahead and made precautions and moved everything out. They shut the airport down. They shut the flights down, moved every piece of equipment that was working out of the way. This was our EOC, filled with everybody, planners, solid waste directors, legal, environmental health, public health, you name it. And right there in the middle is our emergency manager. He just took over that year. He was been the assistant director. And so he's right over the phone, and that's when we're getting the phone calls from the state. And that's where it's saying it's about to get real. And it did. This was the rain event. They had 2 rain events, 2 I was called storm events. We had flash flooding right away. And then we had riverine flooding. This is the flash flooding. Then as the rivers started to fill up, right there in the middle or to the left is our Tar River Bridge, where we were starting with those analysis with Feynman. And to the right is the airport. Feynman called it. It looked exactly like our predictions. Yes. Yeah, it was exact. And so, thank goodness, there was only 2 or 3 things that were damaged at the airport because they couldn't move them. They were just inoperable. And the first 4 had some damage, but for the most part, the airport was safe. Now, with the flash flooding, most of our roads were out as far as the culverts and things. They had this flash flooding, and with DOT, we were at the EOC right next to the DOT, and he was helping us with road closures and things like that. And he was saying there's so much water coming in underneath these bridges that you don't see it's a bridge, it's just a culvert. You don't even notice it. And the water pressure was coming and just collapsing it. And not just, it was everywhere that this was happening during the flash flood event. Just some other pictures about homes where they're right outside the floodplain, but they were getting flooded. Mobile home parks that were getting flooded. They couldn't even get around their homes. This is a small town in Pitt County called Grifton, and they only have one grocery store, and it's the Piggly Wiggly, and it got flooded during Floyd, and it got flooded again. And next to it was Dollar General. So now Piggly Wiggly decided not to rebuild, and they don't have a grocery store, and so they have to go to the next nearest town, about 11 miles away. This home survived. It was built up to the new codes with above the flood elevation. We have a 2-foot freeboard after Floyd, and so it survived, but it's kind of hard to get to and kind of hard to get out. So our during our buyout stuff, our philosophy now with the new buyout is to get people out and not elevate. Our priority is to buy the property, and then the very last resort would be to elevate, because when you elevate, you're still surrounded by water. So during that, we also had our public meetings right next to us, right next to our office. So on the left side, school's out. That was the superintendent for the schools. The sheriff, he said roads are washed out. And of course, emergency management was saying fire and rescue are all out. They were all doing they were out looking and doing rescues. But to the far right was our public health guy. Mosquitoes are getting ready to get bad. Then we had Red Cross, shelters are being opened. And then social services, emergency benefits. A lot of people were displaced, so they left everything in their homes, their groceries, their refrigerators, everything was going out. So they needed assistance with benefits, so she was there to help them. And then, so the county manager's right there in the middle, and he says the county shut down. School was out for over a week. I've got 2 kids, that was tough. Just telling you. So we had these paper things that we had from Floyd. I keep paper, I keep everything. So I had these old inspection reports, and this is what happened during Floyd. I was here, I was an intern, and they had these engineers fill out these forms, and they wrote on them. And so that was what was happening in '99. And we were at the old Linux ARC info system where we had to key in every address and key in every structure if we were trying to do a damage assessment. And then on the right is what they were doing with the fire and rescue. Now they were writing all this stuff down and sending their crews. We got all these sheets and we were like, whoa. We still had to go back out there, but they would kind of give us an indication of where things were happening. Silence. You ever get that when your boss comes in the room and tells you to do something and he wants it quickly, and then you just sit there and he leaves? That's just what it was like. Tracy saw that. She's over there looking at me, and I'm like, oh my God, what do we do? We wanted to do this, our apps. We come to the US conferences, we see all this technology. We've been doing day-to-day stuff and slowly working on some things, but there's a few hiccups that we have to deal with. And we just hadn't quite got there yet with some mobile data collection and things. And we knew we wanted to. We knew we had the idea and the framework, kind of. But we had to go do the inspections quickly. So she made a phone call. She called Hope. I was like, hey guys, I got a cool app. You want to try it? ExactWorks. So we said, please. So we got with Hope, and she had this damage assessment tool. Hadn't really been used in actual events that we're aware of. It was some minor things. So we went through WebEx and some phone training. It's with ArcGIS Online and the Collector app, which is what we kind of played with a little bit. They developed a generic login and for planning staff, and then the state was going to pull the information and provide it back at set interval times. And then she connected us with Colleen. Kylie was our new point of contact there. So Colleen said, well, you can use your smartphones. You don't need anything else extra. So we met with her, had a user's guide, we downloaded it and tested it, and she said, looks like it works. So we had this cheat sheet that we created. We tested the app, we discussed things with this field triplet, and any known nuances, and make sure that the data collected met FEMA and emergency management standards. We further tested with planning and engineering and inspection staff. And then the planning director said, go for it. You feel confident, go for it. So we said, let's do a little field kit. So we all made sure all the vehicles had cell phone chargers. They had our orange safety vets. We had to do printed publications. We had to do condemnations and minor damage stickers, tape measures, Sharpies, and the phone. Don't forget your phone. Still do some papers. So this was the county. We did the grids. These are tax grids that we've used. We love them. The tax office has them, and it's just a real easy way to grid out your county. There was 165 tiles out of 225 that needed inspections. 21,000 structures. They were all in the floodplain. This is a kind of a close-up of the tile that we used. We did print out these paper for some people to keep in the trucks. Just we wanted their names and whether they completed it. And we just wanted them to have a reference for them. So those are the dots. Those are the addresses of the ones that are in the floodplains, the ones that are out for each grid. So there's the app. It was a collector app. All the guys had to do was point on it, click on it, and sign in. They signed in, and they just hit a little collection button. When they did that, a pop-up happened, and you filled in some information. You were able to take pictures with it. You could take up to 3 pictures. You could take more than 3, but you could take up to 3, so you could keep the data maintained pretty easy. We had the guys out there looking at stuff. This was just some of the damage. They were practicing with their phones, and it was working. There are environmental hazards out there. This is one of our coworkers. But in all seriousness, when you were out there, we were out in the fields, and there's people there that don't want you there. There's people there that are rebuilding, that are tearing out their homes, and they don't want you there. So you got to get in and out quickly. So we only had about 4 or 5 data things that we were collecting. There was a whole bunch that you can collect, but we didn't want to do that much. We only wanted to get the address, we got the GPS coordinate, we got the picture, and we got the damage level, and the inspector, whoever it was. That was it. We want to get in and out as quickly as possible. Not just chickens, but dogs, cats, people, mosquitoes. This is our chief building inspector. He's retired now, but he was the one helping us with this, and we went through the process to make sure that we were doing it right. And he was the one putting the condemnations on the homes. We were putting out flyers to let them know in English and Spanish to let them know what we were doing, if they needed help. Had all the phone numbers of all the local assistants. And we were doing that for every home that we inspected. So we did 4 teams, and we were able to do 2 people to a car, 2 or 3 people to a team. We dispersed them and said go. And then they went, and we started collecting data. And it was really neat because as they were collecting data, we could all see each other on their phone. We could see where we were at, where we were going to meet up with if we were. Our planning director was over there. He got on RGSR line, and he could see right away. As we were collecting data, it was popping up right and left. People were calling him because of inspections and permits and buildings. And he said, well, they're out there. They're doing inspections. They're right there. He could see where they were, and he loved it. Absolutely loved it. Thank you. You saved it. So benefits of using this thing was time efficiency. We had 4 teams simultaneously. We all were collecting the same data. It's simple. It was minimal data collection, as I was talking about, real-time uploads. The director monitors the staff progress. Teams can monitor each other. And one of our favorite parts was it was free. We borrowed from her. We just took what we could, and it was free. It was free to the county, and it was easy. They maintained the data. It was uploaded to them. We didn't have to get our IT involved. We didn't have to get any permissions. We didn't have to get IT involved. And so it was free. It was so easy. And then after we wanted it, we could download it later and put it on our GIS and then go through the steps to get it in our SDE. But we use our existing devices. A lot of us have phones and cell phones, and we have the program with the county where people use their own phones for work. And so it was really neat. But you saw our chief building inspector. We have several people that don't like GIS, don't care for it, and don't know how to use it. But they know how to use their phones because everybody has a smartphone usually. They can use it, they can click on it, they go to YouTube. So with this app, they just loaded it on their phone, and then they were using GIS right there, and they felt so comfortable with it. And it was so easy because now our chief building inspector, who has retired now, an engineer who's retired, and several people that weren't exposed to GIS were using it, and it was using it great. They weren't messing it up. They didn't waste time. They knew they knew how to take pictures. So it was environmental friendly because there was no paper. The guys didn't have to take out anything. They just went out with a phone and took a picture. So these are the categories that they set us up with, but we didn't use destroyed. That was a little mean, so we didn't want to use that. So we said major, as water levels were above finished floor. Minor was water levels that reached crawl space but not finished floor. And then there was a green one, which was affected, no apparent water damage. So our collection period was about a week, a little over a week. And we had the 4 teams, and we had planning, engineering, inspections, and then soil and water staff. And we had 650 inspections that we had conducted. 50 of those were major damage, and 160 were minor. And we went through all of those 21,000, but there's just water that didn't affect them. And then, so we went by all of them, but then we only collected really 650. There was a few issues. I didn't say it was easy. There was only 2. The 2 was limited internet access in rural Pitt County. When you get out to a certain spot, you're kind of dead. There's no signal, and so but you could manually input it on the map. You could just pull it up, put it where it's at, and you input it, and it would be updated once you got into range and into your good data range. The other thing was it was unavailable during a maintenance outage. We didn't realize that, but if they are doing something here at the state and they go through a maintenance, then you couldn't upload anything. But we called Colleen and got that straight, and she rescheduled the maintenance for us. I don't remember what this was for. It just looked cool. I can't remember that. But no, it's a working together with emergency management in Pitt County with that data and bringing it down to earth, and it's about partnerships. These are the 2 stickers that we use. We had to put them on all the homes. The inspectors performed free courtesy inspections for citizens, and that was one of the things we did. So we went out there, and they said they can come here for free. We'll go out there and inspect it, look at the insulation, look at the water damage, see if there's anything there for free, and then we'll tell them what they need. We did, and we did a yellow sticker too if they had some minor damage. This is sort of a heat map of what we did, what it looked like once we finished with the inspections and where the damage was at. This map's been used a lot, not just the heat map, but then the data collections part of it. And the next part is this. This is what was used. Debris, trash, everywhere. People cleaned out their homes. It wasn't just doing inspections, they cleaned out their homes, and now what do we do with this? Well, guess what? We're friends with the solid waste director. I'm almost done. So he was charged with debris removal. He wants to know where is it at and how much. So we used GIS, used a little math to estimate the tonnage based on the homes and types of damage. And then we had the pictures of the homes. So he took that, ran it with, decided that the county could do it instead of doing these RFPs and doing this advertisement, getting all these people come in. He said, we can do this. So he presented that with the county manager, and the county manager said, go. So he went. So he got his own stuff and had 98 tons of debris and 160 man hours, and they were done within a week. It would have took that long just to get the bids and close that out. So we were in and out, and hopefully we'll get reimbursed by FEMA for that. Wait, what just happened? That was way too easy. So in 2 weeks we did these damage collections and did the debris removal and everything. It was really easy. I ain't gonna lie, it was the best. It was easier than Floyd. I was here doing Floyd, and it was awful, and it was like 4 years of awfulness. But so the next step is we're gonna get our IT and GIS to assist with connections to open up the ports. We're gonna identify other applications, which we already have, with zoning violations, buyout property inspections, debris violations, road signs, all that from the collector app. And then, so with that, we made this really cool poster that didn't win. And but we like doing posters because it tells a story. So we try to do this all the time with big projects. And we did this. And if you don't do this, we documented what we did. And I would encourage anyone to do that with their projects. There's a lot that's put into GIS for even little projects. And if you document it, make a cool thing and put it on like a journal to the side, it really helps. That was it. So if you want to talk more, I like to talk. They keep me in the back. I'm in GIS in the very back. And so me and my coworker Tracy, we were here to talk about anything else later if you want to shoot us an email. Rich.
Ooh, I'm working on it.
We haven't done like a full scale analysis, but with the inspections, we actually have a team from NC State that came in and done a study with us recently, and they're looking at the inventory on that. But from a visual standpoint, all those homes that we bought out would have been added to that category because literally the ones that didn't buy out were flooded right next door. On all the subdivisions and the developments, they were flooded right next door. This was their second time around. So we did see these people. They were crying. They were there. They flooded during Floyd. They were flooded again. And so, but then the ones that we did buy out right next door didn't. So, and we think we didn't have as much damage because of that, the elevations and awareness. Feynman, I want to say it, Feynman helped save a lot of things and the buyout, I think.
So you talked about getting this technology from John University Management and flying and you guys did it for the first time. But you always look for future, right? So how easy do you think to get a way to provide information, like outsourcing? So instead of your people going out and collecting this data, if you were to have a lot of everybody take this picture and upload this information, that useful. How do you think the people in your town would be participating?
Definitely useful, and that's another idea that would be needed to put the power. I've seen these presentations with GIS or other things, put the power in the people, because then they're the ones, just like you see on the internet, where everybody's posting their own pictures and their source news. If you think all the news agencies are using people with their phones to do the reports, same thing with GIS. You put that power in there, and they can collect data. I guess that was a great experience with our building inspector. You can put it in anybody's hands, and then they can do GIS. I think that would be a next application, is to put that in there, to download it with all this different, say, put it on our website, put it on our Twitter accounts or whatever, and say, download this app. And like you said, give them 3 easy steps. And then next thing you know, you have 100,000 people collecting GIS points for you, which may shut down their department.
Bring it on. Let's do it. Thank you, Eli. It was wonderful.